Hey there, everybody. This is Andrew back for another episode of Dose of Drew. It has been a while. Part of the reason for that has been that I have been injured and on crutches, so it's been a little bit hard for me to make content, among other things. Really, just going through day to day life has been part of the challenge. So, with that being said, I have had something recently where I had, and I'm not going to post, I posted on Instagram where I've had my neighbor who's a little bit crazy. He has come over when I'm not playing music, told me to turn down the music. He has pounded on my door at 7 in the morning. He seems to be conscious enough to know when the rules are. So 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. He knows the curfews and everything in the area and community in which I live. But he's still pretty nuts. He has put paper towels in my tailpipe, in the tailpipe of my car. So far, he had to go get a removal tool to pull them out. He has attacked me with a club while I was in my garage, and he has made verbal things to the contrary. I think the man just likes to try and scare people. He's an old man. I had no trouble disarming him. He's not very tactical. He doesn't know how to fight. And I'm no self-defense expert, but I have had training. And that's actually what I want to get to, because this man is one of those people where he requires self-defense. And I hate to say that, because you like to think that I've been nice, I've tried to accommodate, I've tried to appease, I've tried to do all sorts of things, and it doesn't work. He just comes back with more. And this is one of those things I'm talking about. As soon as he realized he could get his way, he kept pushing for more. And more for no reason, with no backup or anything. Just because he asked, he thought he should get it. And when I said no, he got violent. And this is where I want to talk about self-defense. I'm not an expert. Not by any stretch. There are people who know a lot more than me on YouTube and actually doing it, making classes, helping people out, doing all sorts of stuff. And those are the people I've gone to. In fact, most of my training has been because I've been injured. I've had multiple injuries and a few surgeries. Usually during recovery, honestly, one of the best ways I've had to find good movement-based, real-life-based recovery is through kinetics. Movement, and one of the best ways to do that in my experience is MMA, or any type of martial arts training where you do both movement based, calisthenic based, as well as just actively focusing yourself on a different kind of mind muscle connection that you can get in the gym. The gym is huge. There is no better way, especially when you're first coming out of an injury, to be safe in your recovery. Lifting weights, going light, doing something other than body weight. You got to get there. But being around on crutches are not a weapon. You are at mercy. And part of the thing that I did was trying to learn self-defense. Now, here's the thing I'll say. I'm still not an expert. I have trained. I never got a black belt in anything. I have trained in Aikido. I have trained in karate. I took a couple years of Aikido training. I took a semester of karate. I have trained in Muay Thai, Brazil, a little bit of Muay Thai, a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, basically an MMA school, a couple of them. I don't know that much. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I have the confidence of someone who feels like they can handle themselves only because I don't want to live another way. And also, I train in a few things. I feel like that I can defend myself against 80% of the people. The number of people who are trained and know how to fight is increasing, but I think most people, once they've actually trained, they kind of lose some of that asshole, for lack of a better term. But once you've been beat down a couple times in training, one of the great things about MMA training and fight training, I think, for most people, is that you get the genuine pleasure of losing, of getting your butt handed to you. So you know what that feels like. It's important. Because if you don't know what that feels like, you're going to think you can beat everyone. And you can't. There's people who will be, even the greatest can get taken out by a lucky shot. If there's one little moment of inattentiveness, I think is the word I'm looking for. One moment of inattentiveness can take you out. It doesn't mean the other guy's a better fighter. It means they got lucky. That's why there's rematches. But it's important to know that. That being said, I'll tell you what I learned, what I take away, what I still practice. Number one, especially when it comes to recovery and all that stuff, I don't go out practicing punches or anything like that. If I train and I practice and I'm doing my own training, because I usually don't go right into a dojo or anything right after, if I'm doing my own training, this is going to sound boring. It's almost all defensive. I practice footwork. I practice movement, figure eights, keeping your eye while you're slipping. I practice movement. I practice moving my head. I practice moving my body, moving at the legs, and all that stuff. That is some of the most boring training you can get through. But you know what? It's what I practice the most because I've recovered. And it's easier to do that. I practice and train until I can get my jump back, my calves, and move. I keep practicing footwork. I have trouble. I've had surgeries on my legs, so sometimes getting to where my calf can, one of my calves can support me is not always easy. So all this stuff is difficult. It's hard for me to get to where I can, but most people, like jumping rope, it's not always hard. It's something I can't do for a long time. It's hard for me. So I have to work on that, and I work on it hard. Footwork, being able to move quickly with a short motion, get out of the way of something. If you think that's not important for stuff other than self-defense, to be able to activate your calves, feet, legs, and all that stuff, and your whole body to go with it, with a quickness, with an immediacy, is something outside of self-defense too. For me, that defensive stuff, the squats, the move, the tuck, the core work, all that stuff that you just kind of do, that's most of what I practice. Second is probably jabs. Anytime I have a heavy bag or anything like that, it's jabs, straight punches, overhand rights, because it's easy and good. And I practice straight punches come from boxing and karate. A little bit of karate training is mostly straight kick. Honestly, it was one of the few things I was able to get out of the semester. It's a straight punch and a straight kick, and I kind of practice it that way. But I've also been trained in MMA. I also trained sweeping kick, Muay Thai style. The whip kick, which I practice low and mid. I don't practice high. I rarely can get that high. I practice low and mid because that's where I'm going to aim. Punches, straight punches. I punch a jab. I don't punch to break my hand or break a face. I punch to break someone's nose, soft tissue. I also practice when I can. I practice tight, short hooks, Tyson style. Most of what I do is practicing defense. It's being able to get your arm up, keeping your hands up, keeping your shoulders tight, your arms tight. I practice old time style where I keep my arms down low and my hands up so that I can keep this quick. If you've never seen old-timey boxers where they have one arm down tight and the other one out, if you find out why, it's because that many rounds of punching someone in the face is going to break your hand. I don't want to break my hand, so I don't practice hard face punches, except for I've been taught some really nice elbows down across, some slicing elbows, as well as good push-through Muay Thai elbows. The other thing is really tight hooks, Tyson style. The peekaboo tight. You keep it tight in your whole body and you turn. Wow. And I do it this. I don't do this hook. I do this hook because these are the knuckles I want to catch the chin with or the face. I want to hit them this way, not this way. I don't want to come around and hit them possibly with this. I'm doing it up this way so that this is what hits. I practice those hooks. Number one, you can practice them without a bag. I can practice tight hooks that are within just a foot or so of my own face and make sure I got power. I can do it without throwing the punch. I can shadow box it. I can do it. Same with the overhands. I can shadow box those punches and practice on them. The one power punch I practice more than any is a low left hook, low to mid, body shot. It's one of the few I got. I used to practice it a lot more when I had my own heavy bag. I used to be able to hold at one point in time, back when I was training it more. I used to be able to hold a 70-pound bag up for 3 minutes straight without one punch. Just keeping it in one place or keeping it moving and up while I move around and keep it lifted, elevated the entire time. Punching fast enough, hard enough, and controlled to do it. That's one of my big punches. I can do a right one, but I really practice that left one, and I practice everything else to set it up. I don't want to fight. I don't want to get in a fight. Quite honestly, for me, the point of self-defense is to never have to use it. I've never had to use any of my training on a human being in anger or in defense, and I hope I never do. I really don't want to. For me, it's to avoid it. Part of self-defense is avoiding the fight, not winning it. Self-defense, if I'm in a fight, I stand the chance of getting hurt. If I'm not in a fight, I'm not gonna. Avoiding it is the number one path of self-defense. I do have injuries that prevent me from running. So I'm one of those people who, for lack of a better term, if you've never heard the joke, it comes from The Hobbit. But if you've never heard the joke about if you're in the woods with friends and you come across a bear, you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your friends. I'm the one that can't outrun anyone else. So in that situation, everyone else runs. No one's got to sit there and say, well, bear, show me what you got. That's me. That's what I got to do. That's the person I have to be because I can't run. Literally. Can't run very far or fast. Injuries, there's all sorts of reasons why it doesn't work very well, but it doesn't work very well. So that's something I don't have. I don't get to run away. I want to avoid any confrontation that would lead to physical violence, but I'm definitely not afraid of it. I just don't think it should be the way that confrontations go down. The other things I practice, they're harder, and I take a lot of it from both Aikido and some of the Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, is hip throws, negatives. I understand the body mechanics and physics of it, getting my center of balance and mass under theirs, being able to lift it, being able to move them out of their triangle so that their center of mass is out of their center of balance. I understand all that both quickly and at an instinctive level. I like that part and I try to practice that, but it's really hard to practice a throw all by yourself. So I honestly don't know how good I am. I try and practice the motions and I try and see it. And I try and do it fast and see if I can feel it right. I know how to fall and roll, so I can take my own. I have my own. I do have tried training sprawling and other takedown defenses, but takedowns and throws are the only other thing I really got. And that's my weapons. I got a couple of kicks I practice if I have the ability. I practice without full kick because I don't have a bag to pick kicks. So I'll do the knee lifting thing and sometimes really slow kicks, but I don't get a good practice. So am I great? No. Am I an expert? Not even a little. Not even a little bit am I an expert in this. I practice what I can. Does that make me great? No, not at all. It's my philosophy. You'll see a lot of people online, they talk about it, some people are talking about it, but most people who know what they're doing or know what it's like talk about avoiding the fight. Because out on the street, as they say, or in the real world where you're fighting, not for competition, but fighting, it's a dangerous place. And most really trained people will hand you your hat, but you can still get one good shot in and take someone out. And the worst thing is if you're knocked out and you can't defend yourself, what someone can do to you. So that's pretty bad. If you can get away from it, if you can avoid it, if you can avoid the fight in the first place, you've already won. You've won the fight that you never have. That's my philosophy on it. I practice because I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be in a fight. And there's a certain reality to, I want to be that guy. If you decide to look at me as a target or a victim or just somebody who would be easy, you picked the wrong person. You don't know what you're doing. And I like that because that's who I'm trying to avoid. The people who would take advantage of that, who would see me as an easy target, see me as as other people's hard target and me as an easy one. And so therefore they would take the easy path. I want to avoid that. Those people who would see me as an easy target, who would see me as something that basically low-hanging fruit because I might be injured or I might be walking slow. I don't run or I try and avoid it. I try and be nice and try and be a good guy. Most of the people who will take advantage of that, I believe, probably don't have the skill set, intellect, and capacity to be a significant danger unless they've been trained or have a weapon. Weapons are a whole different story. If you haven't by now, and I've won this at Dose 3, if you haven't looked at all my knife things, I do like bladed weapons, and another thing I've taken from Aikido, I do train in swords and stuff, but it is more for the fun and pleasure than for any sort of defense or attack. I don't have those things for that. Besides that, it really seems unfair unless someone else has got a sword. But yeah, I live in a place where 3 of my walls aim at other people or other people's domiciles. So I only have a very narrow area where I can shoot a gun as a matter of self-defense or a matter of home defense without endangering other people. I live in an apartment complex. I basically have 4 out of 6 directions that are dangerous. I can't shoot through the floor because it might hit through people. I shoot through 3 of my walls. I make sure people. I shoot up through the ceiling. I might hit a bird, but probably not a person unless they're on the roof. Then I have one other wall, which happens to be where my doors are, which is nice, like the one behind me. There is no other area that way, but that leaves me about a 45-degree spot from either where I'm at, it's less, or from my kitchen or someplace where I can go. If I'm in my bedroom, I'm at a window that's by the door and I'm more of a target than they are. I'm not at a place where I can utilize guns for self-protection or home defense. Not at home, unless I'm out and about and it's scary. And then, yeah, there's rarely a need for that. If I'm in a situation where I need to be able to hit a faraway target in self-defense or take someone down, I've probably gotten into a bad situation. Or if they have a gun, then I'm not into wild westing it. That's worse than a fight where just lucky can win. So that's my philosophy on self-defense and what I know and practice. I practice strength. I try and practice speed. I try and practice, as they say, real motion, where I'm doing things like kettlebell swings, burpees, one-ups, or whatever that, where you take the kettlebell up, the clean and jerk, one arm or whatever. I try and do that stuff. I like to do kinetic. I like to do twists. I like to do unusual things that help me engage full muscles. Even at the gym, if I'm working my way up, I'm trying to do like the cable machines or something where I am doing resistance no matter which direction I'm moving. It doesn't change the resistance. And that's really it. I'm not big on self-defense. I like to keep my head about me. I like to be aware of my surroundings. I try and look at other people. There's certain people you say, that guy can handle himself. I know that he can carry himself well. I know that he knows how to keep himself tight. I kind of think that stuff and I kind of don't. Like there's certain things I see and I take it lightly. But most of the time I don't worry about it. I look at how I can escape. I look at escape routes very often. That's my mental preparedness. But otherwise, I don't like to think about it. If I go out, I'll take a flashlight. I almost always have a pocket knife on me, but it is not meant for self-defense. Quite honestly, I have things like a pry bar, titanium that would use better, or the flashlight itself. Like right in someone's eyes is what you're buying is time. Whether you're trying to win the fight or get away from it, what you're trying to do is buy time. More for you, more for your life, more pain-free. So I try to avoid it. I don't ever want to hurt anybody. But in the real world, if I have to throw punches, I'll throw punches if I need to defend myself, or if someone comes at me and it's the only way I can. I'll throw or take down. I'll whip somebody's head down. I'll pull their legs and whip their upper body down onto the ground. If you don't think that's a devilishly dangerous thing to do to someone on, like, say, concrete or asphalt, you're not thinking it through. A solid hard takedown or a throw, if you're not controlling their head, if you're not like a judokai or something like that, and you throw someone down on the ground and that ground is concrete or asphalt, you're going to break them. If you know how to throw and they don't know how to land, you're going to hurt them bad. And in fact, if I'm practicing sprawls, I don't practice it on mats or anything like that. So honestly, when I practice sprawls, I'm practicing to shove someone's face into the ground as hard as I can. If I'm thinking about a hip throw, I'm thinking about moving them so that their upper body crashes into the ground. That's self-defense, not mats. I'm not trying to win a match. I don't want to win a match. I hope I never have to use any of this. But those are really big things to do, to take someone down or to do a judo throw on someone or anything like that. I mean, jiu-jitsu, a lot of it. The hip throws, the under throws, you're creating negative space and then lifting up, pulling them over in an arc. A lot of it requires the same type of body mechanics and same type of stuff. You're using gravity, momentum, their body weight, leverage. You're using all of that to essentially flip them upside down and pound them into the ground. Those are very, very serious moves in the real world. In a fight, they're like, oh, take them down and then, see if you can get, like I said, if that is anything other than soft ground, the takedown itself is a significant attack. So those are what I practice. If you don't know why I would practice the low left hook, you've probably never been hit by one. I remember quite vividly. It's why I practice that punch and the kicks as well. I try and keep my lead leg, like a jab and stuff. But that's why I try and practice. Because when I was holding pads one time, I wasn't very good at holding the pads, and I got tagged with a kick. My arm was still there. I got tagged with a kick in that solar plexus on my right side by someone's left, lead side kick. Whip kick, Muay Thai style. Didn't mean to hit me. I totally messed it up, and I felt that for 2 days. So see, that hurts. And if you know how to do it with the right pressure, timing, speed, you can create a pressure wave inside of someone's body that ripples across their internal organs. If you want to see a great example of it, just look at Lesnar's defeat. Oh God, I'm dying because I can't remember his name, but K1, God, one of my favorites of all time, and I'm dying right now. Kicked him. And if you watch slow motion, when you watch that, he had already had liver problems, stuff like that. You can see the pressure wave go from one side of his body and back as it rolls through his internal organs and just destroys. And it put him down. That's what took Lesnar out. It's a great example. That's my philosophy on self-defense. It's just, honestly, I want to have the confidence to know that I can handle myself. I know that someone who knows how to fight will take me out. But here's the thing. I don't want to spend that much time on. I don't want to spend all my life trying to learn how to put someone down that I may never, if I can avoid it, I will. And I don't need to beat 99% of the people. I need to beat most of the people who would attack me for no reason. If I'm out there baiting people or trying to get them to physically attack me, that's a different story. But I don't want to. There's other ways to solve problems that I think are far more useful, lasting, permanent, and agreeable. So most of the time, I don't think a fight's what's necessary, and I hope I never have to. I hope I'm never proven wrong on that one. Most of the time, I'm okay with being proven wrong. It means I have learned something, but I really hope that I'm never proven wrong on that. I hope that I'm right about that. So I don't want to fight. I don't try to fight. I don't go looking for it. I have no problem speaking my mind. I expect other people to be able to eloquently articulate themselves. And if they have a problem, to try and say it, or at least be willing to just accept that it's a problem and go along with it. If we're all accepting it, then that's fine. But yeah, so there's my thing. I have made, when it comes to my neighbor, just to give everyone not only come full circle in the story, but to give everyone kind of closure to that little bit, like what happened. I have reported every incident to my leasing office, as I should. Both attacks directly on me, not just banging my door. I have reported to the local police department. I have no idea what they've done to come and handle it. I honestly don't. In an era of pandemic, in the last year, if they're able to do anything, it's kind of surprising. But I also posted on social media that this man he made a verbal sort of gesture towards me, and I'm just over it. I consider him a continued and perpetuating threat. He's persistent about it. He doesn't seem to give up. He wants to just dominate people's thoughts. And at this point in time, don't care. I know what I'm going to do if he tries something. And it's going to suck because I'm not so well balanced. I'm not so strong, and I would have to probably injure myself in order to do it, but I would put him down on the ground hard. It's one of the only things I can do given my current condition. So right now he hasn't done anything. Once I post on social media, both the police department, my leasing office, police, they have both reached out. Everyone's reached out to him. I saw a lot of activity, and I hope that this is the measure of self-defense I need. I hope I don't. Right now I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned. I'm not scared. I know I'm going to if he comes at me with anything other than a gun. If he comes at me with a gun, I don't have really any defense, whether I'm hurt or not. So that's the closure I'm at right now. As far as I'm concerned, I'm defended. I don't want to escalate it. I'm not trying to go after him. I've told him what I'll do if he tries something, and I posted it socially. I've covered my bases. I got a video of him removing the toilet paper or whatever he shoved up the tailpipes of my car. It's really, really, really strange, I have to admit. But yeah, it's just an unusual situation. So that's where I'm at. That's the closure I'm at right now. If you were hoping for something more where we got a dust up and someone got beat up, it's hopefully not going to happen. Hopefully this is all it ever is. But I did post about how I'm going to do that and what I'm going to do. And really, I mean, honestly, anytime someone says that, you're hoping you get it done. You're going to try. I'm going to try. If he attacks me, I'm going to try and throw him or take him down, whatever tactics the situation makes better. If I can, I'm going to, if he's coming at me from the side or from the front, I'll try and do a takedown. If he's coming at me from behind or a side I can't see, I'm going to probably try and do a drop throw where I drop my weight down and bring him over me so that I can try and maintain my position as much as possible and not have to roll with him onto the ground, and keep my distance once he's there. So that's okay. And I'm going through physical therapy. I got far bigger things to worry about than this guy. And I really don't want to sit here and think about self-defense all the time. I like to watch UFC, and I like watching beautiful fakes and feints and great tactics, and you can see it. And I like to, listen to Joe Rogan and hearing people call that stuff. I like watching it, but I'm not that person. I'm not going to be getting in the ring. I am not the number one contender. I'm okay with that. But I do want to know how to defend myself. I do know how to throw a punch. I do know how to avoid breaking my hand. I know where to hit. I know how to hit. I try to practice it as far as that on the offense. But quite honestly, more than anything else, more than any other offensive maneuver, what I practice most is defensive. Footwork, head movement, head bob, keeping the triangle down while you're looking, being able to do the circle 8 while you still keep your eyes on a particular spot or in the mirror. I still do that stuff. If I can, I'm doing footwork. I'm trying to do jumping. If I can, I'm trying to, try and squat, make sure I'm using my legs to move, and do 100 of them. I try and bounce on my feet. I try and make sure that I can move laterally, or I can move backwards. I can move in any direction to a tiny degree, be able to do it quickly, accurately, and still maintain my balance when I do it. That's what I do. Being able to move my hands up, keep my hands up tight, keep them down low, keep myself in a stance while I do other things. Isometric, that's what I practice most. That's my self-defense, is I practice defensive maneuvers and practitioners. This is where I'm going to start to end it, because I want to end a speech on self-defense with defensive maneuvers. This is really outside of what I would normally talk about, but as this came on, I posted on Instagram, I thought it would be a good topic. So there you go. There's my philosophy on self-defense. I am not a self-defense expert. You should definitely take other people's advice on it that are much better at me, know what they're doing, know how to do it. I just practice a few things, and more often than not, the defense is what it is. Defensive maneuvers, avoiding the fight is the best defense. If you can create a solution or something without having to come to blows or having it become physical or some other sort of antagonistic outcome, I believe there's other ways. So if there's nothing else, hey, don't mess with hurt people. They got nothing to lose, and sort of like a cornered animal, the only option is to try and take you out. So there you go. As it is, I have had no problem previously disarming him when he came at me with a wooden club. It looked like he had carved. That was easy enough to remove from him. He even tried to grab it, and I redid it and then escorted him out of my garage. It was a confined space. I didn't do it too roughly, not rough enough for him to go out to the ground, because I didn't think he'd survive that. But I wasn't nice when I escorted him out of the garage either. It was pretty forcible, and he wasn't going to get niceness after that. So it is what it is. Yeah, that's my defense. I try to be nice. I try to do what I can to accommodate. I try and state my thing and be accepting of other people's point of view as well as my own, and also be willing to compromise. Be willing to give up a little so that I don't have to fight all the time. Like, what are you willing to, like, what is worth fighting for is really the question. And most of the time, a physical altercation, it's over nothing. You know? It's not like you're going to steal my wife or take my business away. Those are the things you really want to beat people up for. Most of the time it's just like this guy was apparently upset about music I wasn't playing. Like, I don't even know how to do that. So yeah, you never know what's going to upset people. You never know how to do it, but more often than not, believe it or not, the best defense is defense, or not getting involved in the fight in the first place. If you can avoid an altercation, it's the best thing. This has gone on a long time, far much longer than I expected. This has been a Dose of Drew. I am said Drew. Go ahead and listen to this, watch it, like, subscribe, and then come back in the morning and do it again. Thanks, everyone.